Hello, people. Brady, Charlie, Garrett. We're here talking wrestling. Let me sit up a little bit. So this week was kind of on and off for me. I think there was a lot of stuff that kind of just held pace on Raw and SmackDown. I can't think of a lot of I don't know, big character development. Can you?
Team Hell No just looked good. That's all I know.
Yeah,
I guess.
Nothing too crazy. It's one of those weeks of wrestling you could have went without.
Going back to his, dude, Charlie, you gotta fix your mic, bro. It keeps like popping. It's just loud.
Kind of.
Got to get a filter for that, brother.
Are you using your headphones or something?
Yeah, I don't have my mic with me.
Oh,
Make sure it doesn't run. Make sure it doesn't run. All right. Yeah. Exactly like that. All right, so let's get started. Some wrestling news. Stop the presses, boys. A couple big things. So Bray Wyatt got into a car accident. I think we may have brought it up before, but I'm not sure. But basically, Bray Wyatt got injured, and he suffered head trauma, and he says that he can't remember anything from the accident, which the fact that he's still being advertised for Extreme Rules, even though he got hit in the head so bad that he can't remember what happened, I don't think that's good. I think maybe they should hold off on Bray Wyatt wrestling for a little while, Garrett.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing about wrestlers is injuries never stop them, and they just think, especially guys with old school mentalities like Bray, they tend to think that it doesn't matter if they can push through, if they're not in so much pain that it's debilitating, that they can still do a match, even though most of them are wrong when they say that,
Head injuries are a different beast. I think you got to be really careful with them.
It's one of those things where you want to start, taking into account real life. You don't want to.
The last thing we want is Bray Wyatt to be in a wheelchair.
Remember that Jeremy Shockey thing that came out? I know it's football, but still, he was all. It wasn't worth the money because of his constant headaches and everything, and it's just with head injuries, in wrestling especially. I mean, you could hit your head any night, and it'd be like a bad one.
And the fact that this car accident probably set him up for if something happens right now, if he does land on his head, it's going to be so much worse.
Yeah, not something you want to mess with.
It's more than just a simple concussion, which, I mean, there's not really such thing as simple concussion, but whatever. All right. We'll stick with the theme of Extreme Rules news. So The Miz will not be at Extreme Rules due to the fact that he's participating in the MLB Celebrity All-Star Game, which is cool for him. I mean, you'd think out of all the WWE people, maybe The Miz would be the least likely, even though he's an actor. I don't know, out of the big top stars, I think it's cool that Miz is getting this nod, Charlie.
I agree, man. And I feel like he deserves it because I push for Miz in the sense of I feel like he has a big Hollywood career. Like, I'm talking, we can see him on these A-list movies that come out, these big star movies. And I really feel like he could be there with just how talented he is.
Garrett, anything you want to add about The Miz?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just cool for him. I think what part of the reason is the fact that he's got his own reality TV show now. He's not just a reality TV star turned wrestler. He's now a reality TV star turned wrestler that has now got a big enough following that he can have his own show. So I think that's good for him.
Agreed.
True. Very true.
And then on pretty happy news, Elias signed a deal with Fender Guitars.
Dude,
so that's
huge.
That's the second big thing. I mean, Sin Cara just signed a shoe deal. I think it was with Adidas. Can't remember, but I don't know. That's cool. That these wrestlers starting to get sponsorships. Now, is he going to start smashing Fender guitars over people's heads? If I had to guess, I don't think Fender would want to be involved with violence like that. But if they were, I think that they'd rather slap a Fender sticker over the top of a cheap guitar. I don't think we should be smashing actual Fender acoustic guitars. They're kind of pricey.
True, I'd agree.
I would expect the quality of the guitars that he just plays and doesn't smash though to go massively up though.
Oh, absolutely. That would be awesome. Yeah, he comes out and he can brag about his sponsorship now. It's cool. We also, it's kind of newsy, but more of a fresh meat segment. Rey Mysterio signed a 2-year exclusive deal with WWE. I personally think that maybe Rey Mysterio should start in NXT. I would love to just see him and Ricochet go down there, talk about passing the torch a little bit. Because bring Rey Mysterio, let's say Rey Mysterio gets brought back, and most people would want Rey Mysterio to be Rey Mysterio of old. All of a sudden, that delays Ricochet and Leo Rush and really anybody on 205 Live right now from becoming top-tier stars for another 2 years. And if Ricochet is just doing nothing for 2 years instead of stepping into that role, I think that could ruin Ricochet. Garrett, what do you think?
I'll agree with everything you just said, and I'll add that I believe that a Rey Mysterio now, I think the thing about Rey Mysterio is that he's never been one to not he's not one of those wrestlers that's like, I'm going to wrestle the same way I've wrestled for like the last 20 years. I don't care what the new people. No, he adapted. If you have watched any of the stuff from him when he was in Lucha Underground or anything of his recent stuff, the guy has kept up with modern wrestling and he can still go with the best of them. So I think unless you have him go with the best of them, you're kind of short selling those people and him both. So yeah, absolutely.
Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys, man. Like, he's always going to be special when he's here, He's built himself up that reputation that these 2 years, I hope it's more of a not superstar push, but I hope it's bringing these new guys and making them the superstars. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm
think
hoping
his
for.
mind's in the right place, so. All right. So let's talk about our first class segments this week, guys. We'll go kind of standard order this week. Our best segment of the week. Garrett, I'll start with you. What'd you really like this week?
So if you guys paid attention to our NXT podcast over like the last year, I'm a huge fan of Sanity. Anything that's got Eric Young in it from TNA to now, I've been on board with. I think the guy just is really good, and I think they made them look really good this week. They had a segment where the New Day were literally milliseconds away from starting a pancake eating contest, which everyone would have been cool with as a segment anyway. That's one of the best things that you can do with a heel is have them ruin a segment that people would have actually liked, not just some random segment that you throw out there so that they can have some fodder. This made Sanity look strong. They faded to black, then they came straight back and they were right there. They beat down the New Day, one of the strongest tag teams in the WWE. The longest reigning champions of all time, and that puts them on a different level immediately. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them going after either the Bludgeon Brothers or whoever is here soon. So.
Yeah. Melissa's asking where's the BB podcast? Yeah, we didn't go live last night because we were at the premiere of Ant-Man and the Wasp. So. Sorry, we ended up picking that over. I actually still need to watch. I know what happened on the Big Brother episode last night, but I need to go back and watch it. So I'll probably do that tonight. But yeah, sorry we didn't have a live episode. We always try to do that, and it was the first one. Charlie hasn't been on a Big Brother podcast yet, man. We got to get him on there.
Get on the fun stuff.
Exactly. I'll talk about I'll talk about my best segment of the week. I think that it had to be Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns against Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. They've had a little mini feud going on right now. I'll tip my hat to Jeff Hawkins. He actually just stopped doing the Tuesday night podcast over at Fightful, but he had the idea of what if you had a new Four Horsemen with Ziggler, McIntyre, and the Revival all running together.
Ooh,
and
dude.
I think that would be amazing. I could picture a world where the Revival are holding the tag championships, McIntyre's holding the world championship, and Ziggler's got the U.S. or Intercontinental. I could see it. I want it to happen. I hope it does.
I'm a fan of that world.
The big thing here, the big takeaway from this match for me was that Rollins is pretty much the only the only person that can get a pop for Reigns.
True.
Like that's the only way the guy can get cheered. Everyone is ready for the nice big hot tag from Roman, and it was good to see that they actually got the response that WWE wants. However, I think it's only a matter of time before Ziggler and McIntyre are at the top of the show, and people popped for the standoff between McIntyre and Reigns. Every time those guys are in the ring together, people really want to see it. And so, if you had this thing, let's say you had, I mean, the Usos are on SmackDown, right? Yeah. But let's say like the Usos were on Raw, or they came over for a feud, and you had Rollins, Reigns, and the Usos against the new Four Horsemen, the Hopeful Horsemen. That's what we're gonna call them, the Hopeful Horsemen. And you had a feud, and you broke it in. You could just have a whole card where you had McIntyre against Reigns for the championship, Rollins versus Ziggler for the championship, which is happening, and the Revival versus the Usos for the tag championship. And all three of those matches would be fire.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie.
So it's not really a best segment. It's let me see. Hold on. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
A best moment, I guess. So it was during Ellsworth and Asuka, right? And I thought when Asuka slapped the living crap out of Ellsworth and then started she went through her moveset, and then I don't know, I thought the whole segment of her slapping him and then the entire crowd flinching.
Charlie, you got to make sure you're sitting still, bro. It's just.
Yeah, I don't have a mic. That's what it is. So it's all good.
No, it's fine. Just make sure it's not rubbing against something because it's really loud.
Yeah. No, it's not an actual headset. There's just
I know. Just make sure it's still, because I can hear you fine. The mic sounds fine when you're talking. I'm saying you'll see if you watch back on the podcast.
But yeah, it was just a really cool moment. It was funny seeing everyone flinch.
Oh yeah, I like it. Asuka's been doing really good. Like, it's been a good, fun feud. So. All right. So sadly, as always, we had some bad stuff to go along with the good stuff.
Charade getting on the top floor in the high rent district. Here he goes, crossing himself. Oh!
Man.
And for me, I'm gonna keep it short, sweet, and to the point. The worst segment of the week was still No Way Jose versus Mojo Rawley. No one gives any you-know-whats about this match, this feud or match or anything.
We'll get to the you-know-whats.
It just, No Way Jose is dead in the water already. This is a terrible decision to put these two together. Mojo is okay on the mic, but I don't know. I've already spoken too long about him. This feud sucks. Get them both off my TV screen. Garrett.
Yeah, so I said we'd get to the you-know-whats, and this segment was literally covered in it, or at least Kevin Owens was. Yeah, I mean, so there is a Bleacher Report article that we read that pretty much summed this up. I'm not going to read it off, but there was one thing that I took away from it that I mentioned to the guys before, which is that this is basically the same thing that happened in a feud between Goldust and Stone Cold Steve Austin back in '98, I think, or something like that. Back in the 90s anyway, but and it's fine to reference stuff like that, but another thing that was mentioned in that article is this makes Strowman into a bit of a caricature. He's just the big, strong, thing that comes onto your TV and crushes things and does the big feats of strength. And then, again, that's fine for your big, strong man to do, but that's all he'll ever be able to do if this is all you ever have him do. So,
yeah,
I think this limits the abilities that Strowman has obviously displayed to the point that the crowd is like, this is a big guy we can get behind, not just because he's big, and yeah, so it's unfortunate that it ended with a porta potty being turned over, but it is what it is.
It's just weird that they think that every main character has to be a comic. You see the same thing with Balor right now. I don't know. It's just weird. Charlie, what was not tickling your fancy?
Speaking of Balor, I don't know, man. Him and Baron Corbin, on paper, I'm down every day, right? It's just TGI Fridays insults is what their feud is, and it's a joke, just like how you're saying. they've turned him into a smiley, goofy joke. And it's just, you know, I don't know. This feud is built off of someone looks like TGI Fridays.
Well, and then you look on Twitter. You can keep talking about it for a second, Charlie, but I'm going to pull up what their actual feud is on Twitter because these guys write better stuff than the actual writers.
True. And Baron Corbin, man, this Constable Corbin gimmick is everything we needed to refresh his character. And this is the first thing they're doing. They're having a guy walk out there and say he looks like a TGI Fridays waiter, and that's why they're going to fight. They got a match at Extreme Rules, man. Like, they're, I don't know, hopefully.
Likely to be an Extreme Rules match by the time we get there, I'm sure. You know?
Who knows? He might throw an appetizer menu at him. Like, it might start getting to a blood feud, boys.
I mean, you know, at some point we may see a food fight like we did last year. It's
my God. Dude, if they have
this match sponsored by TGI Fridays.
If they have Finn Balor showing up to a TGI Fridays and beating the crap out of one of the waiters, I'm in.
No, imagine. Okay, actually, I'd actually really laugh at this segment. Imagine if they went into a TGI Fridays and Corbin was just in his gear and he was at pretend serving somebody and then he just attacks him.
He's sitting at a table. See, it could be good, but we know it's never going to get that far.
No, and if they make a joke like that, you want them to do something like that, and they won't. So, yeah.
All right, here we go. So, Baron Corbin said, "I gave you the opportunity to apologize, and you proved everything I knew about you. You're a coward, a cheat. You're the problem. I'll make sure we fix that." Balor replied, "You sound like that Meredith Brooks song. You know the one I'm talking about? Bitch." Corbin said, "Big words from a small man. Just remember that you and your club are on my show now. Remember who you're talking to, tough guy." And then Balor said, "I know exactly who I'm talking to. A guy that was getting released from football teams while I was winning wrestling tournaments in Japan."
What the?
and Corbin said, That's as impressive to me as winning an over 40 church basketball league MVP award. It took you 10 years to get to the WWE. Me, I made a phone call. When I'm done with you, 205 will be waiting. You'll fit in much better." And then Balor said, "It didn't take 10 years to get to the WWE. I was forging my own path on a 16-year journey, learning from the best. You said you made one phone call. I didn't make any. They called me." And what do we get? And what do we get on TV, Charlie?
TGI Fridays bloodbath. So
on TV we get, "You look like you go work at TGI Fridays." Yeah, well, you're small.
I'm really curious if we had a counter, man. He'd probably mention TGI Fridays. It's no exaggeration. He's probably mentioned it like 6 or 7 times in the past 2 weeks. And like,
it's because the first audience popped for it, and so now Vince is like, "Dude, let's just have him say it every week."
Like, man, that would you just read off? Imagine them screaming that in each other's face and then throwing a chair or something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We all were just like, "Whoa, I didn't have to make a call. They called me." You know what I mean? These guys are great. Just let them be great.
You know what Corbin needs to go with this gimmick? I was just thinking. He needs a segment every week where he comes out and says what Stephanie McMahon wants. Just call it like, I don't know, Corbin's Corner. That's a terrible name. But you know what I mean? Like, call it something just better than that.
I like how he's got his own introduction now.
Oh, yeah.
Stephanie McMahon's personally appointed. Yeah.
And one thing that else is weird is that WWE changed his look, and he looks way better now. But now the whole feud is based on the fact that he looks stupid.
Yeah, it kind of cuts under what they were trying to do with the change in his look.
You know what I mean? They changed it so that he'd look more badass, and he definitely does. Mm-hmm. But it's dumb. All right, let's talk about something outside of wrestling to kind of bookend the show. So let's talk about some NBA free agency. So, Garrett, I know you're not crazy into the NBA, but you know who LeBron James is, yes?
Absolutely. I know some big names.
You live somewhere close to where he used to play.
Absolutely. I know that much.
So LeBron left Cleveland again.
Shocker.
Yeah, not a shocker at all. And he went to the Lakers, which they were head and shoulders the clear favorites going into free agency. There's been rumors that he's wanted to go there for years. It's just it seems like LeBron felt the need to go back and give a championship to Cleveland. He did that. Ended up
Which is why I'm noticing not as much sour grapes this time.
Agreed. And so LeBron goes to the Lakers. The Lakers are not that great of a team right now. They had some other signings. They got Lance Stevenson and
the Cavs were definitely a better team.
JaVale McGee. See, I wouldn't agree with that. I think Cavs, other than LeBron, I think the Lakers before LeBron got there are better than the Cavs are now.
Okay.
Because the Cavs now, they have Kevin Love, and it's kind of it. They have like Rodney Hood. Like, I don't know. The Cavs are not that great after that. Whereas the Lakers, they have Kyle Kuzma. Lonzo Ball is a good passer. He's not that great a shooter, but he's okay for it. And they got Lance Stevenson, JaVale McGee. They've got Brandon Ingram. They've got a lot of good pieces around there. But LeBron seems to destroy every team that he goes on because he has to run the offense through him. What's Lonzo Ball going to do? So
that's going to be interesting, huh?
That's a weird aspect. All right, so now let me give it to you this way, Garrett. So you know that the Golden State Warriors are really good, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I know that
much. Right. So the Warriors are expected going into free agency. The Warriors won the NBA Finals. I think they swept the Cavs. Yeah, and they were head and shoulders. Everyone figured they were going to run away with next season. All right. So Sports Illustrated, Garrett, ranked the top 100 players in the NBA. So even if you're ranked 100, like D'Angelo Russell on the Nets, you're still pretty darn good, right? So here is the Warriors' starting lineup, okay? Kevin Durant, ranked number 2 in the league. Remember, these rankings are all in the entire NBA out of 30 teams. Kevin Durant, number 2. Stephen Curry, number 3. Draymond Green, number 10. Klay Thompson, number 20, and then they went out and signed the number 23 player in the NBA as their number 1 as their center, and he signed for the mid-level exception, which is basically he signed for minimum money, even though he probably could have got $30 million elsewhere. Does that sound like something that's fair, Garrett? The best team in the world just adding the best center available?
Fair. I mean, I guess it depends on the perspective you look at it from as a sports fan. I mean, there's two things that sports fans love. They love watching crazy games where one team just dominates, and they also love really competitive games. So, those are the two kinds of games that you usually get also, so so we like both kinds of games. So I guess it really depends on which game you like more. Personally, I like watching competitiveness where everybody has a shot, especially because I like a lot of sports teams that aren't the greatest. So, maybe not fair, but I mean, if it was approved, clearly it's okay. I mean,
it's just weird because according to this power ranking, you have the second best small forward just behind LeBron James, the best point guard, the second best power forward, the second best shooting guard, and like the 4th best center. Wow.
It's a broken system that at this point there's no fixing.
It's a culture now in the NBA of just take as little money as possible. And the Warriors did it right. I mean, they drafted Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, signed them to smaller deals so that they were saving money, even though they were 2 of the best players in the NBA. The team went 73-9, Garrett, 2 years ago. And then Kevin Durant, who was arguably the best player in the world, joined the team. He joined a team that already only lost 9 games out of an 82-game season.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, certainly the guy should have gone somewhere else. But, I mean, it's like, when you've got that kind of – and I think it's something for the players, too, where there's like a mystique around Golden State right now where you're like, I'd love to play for that team,
Oh, yeah. They go there. They'll get a ring.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not every goal of every player, but, that's something they certainly want,
So, and then we're going to end on a little bit of a somber note with NBA free agency. Charlie, the Chicago Bulls starting lineup for next year reads as Chris Dunn, Sean Kilpatrick, Justin Holiday, Lauri Markkanen, and Robin Lopez.
Yeah, it's the lowest the franchise has ever been. The franchise that was once home to Michael Jordan and, just everything else. It It's a joke now. I mean, they have the worst owner and GM in the entire league. They didn't even offer Zach LaVine a contract, who just signed 4-year, $80 million with the Kings. I mean, it's just like that was by far the best player they got out of trading a franchise player to the Timberwolves, and they just let him go a year later. So, you know, they have no idea what they're doing. They don't draft good. Marketing's not bad, but I feel like anybody would stand out on that team that's halfway decent, so it's hard to tell.
And then the Celtics, on the other hand, I think they've got a shot next year at getting to the finals.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if everyone's healthy, starting lineup, Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, Al Horford.
Man, I've heard all of those names. That's impressive.
That's a good starting lineup.
And 2 of them are draft picks of recent years. So.
Right. And you've got Robert Williams there, first-round draft pick. He's the 3rd in the depth chart on power forward, so he gets to sit back and develop a little bit, learn from Al Horford. So
that's right.
Oh, and we got the GOAT, Shemi Ojale.
Like, I don't know, just the Celtics know how to draft, man. It's
Plus,
not
they got the coolest coach in the league.
By far. Brad Stevens, he's probably one of the best, too. Like, if not.
Oh, yeah. Garrett, I know you probably haven't heard of Brad Stevens, but so this guy coached at BYU, college team, right? And he's super nerdy and into, like, analytics and stuff. So he's like a super stat cruncher, like playing percentages and stuff like that. So the team does, like, a lot of passes, makes, like, high percentage shots. But he's only – I don't want to misquote it. I'd say he's like 38, no, 41. Brad Stevens is only 41, which is super young for a head coach. And I don't know. It's very cool.
Sounds like the guy's gonna have a good career.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He could theoretically coach for another 40 years if he wants.
Right.
You know, Luka Doncic picked number 77.
Nice.
You don't see that too often.
No. All right, Charlie. 80 seconds on the clock.
All right, we got the 80 seconds up right now.
Oh shit! I was expecting you to not know what was going on. All right, Ziggler and McIntyre look really good. Roman Reigns was on the first 7 segments of Raw this week.
Oh my god!
Very interesting. So Matt Hardy and Curtis Axel had a match. I think Axel's doing good work. It must have been hard for them to work knowing that Bray Wyatt got in the accident like the night before. AOP crushed Titus Worldwide, which needed to happen. Thank God they didn't have him keep backing down. This should not be a feud at all. Ember Moon faced Liv Morgan. Not really a lot going on. Ember Moon beat her. A lot of girls on the main roster are selling the Eclipse perfectly, though. There have been a lot of really good sells of that. Bobby Lashley starting to look like a badass, which is great. They faced a Revival again for the 3rd week in a row. And Reigns and Lashley ended up defeating the Revival via disqualification after Reigns got jumped. Nia Jax and Mickie James had a match. No one even cares. Nia Jax won. And then we had the crap of a segment. We didn't really talk about SmackDown at all, but like it's cool that Rusev's in the spotlight. Aiden English is a bit of a punching bag right now. That's fine. Sanity debuted. It was good. We talked about that a little bit. Asuka faced James Ellsworth, and it was a double count out. I hope James Ellsworth beats her and then takes that in the end. Yeah. Oh, and Becky Lynch beat Peyton Royce.
But she looked good.
She did, yeah. All right. I think it was a little bit of a longer episode this week, but that's okay. Lots of NBA talk, lots of opinions. We're very opinionated around here.
What it's all about here on the Squadcast.
Comment down there on why we're idiots. Make sure you like and subscribe. Click the little bell so you know when we go live. And I'm gonna go watch some Friday Fortnite until next week, or actually probably very shortly, not tonight, but within the next couple days, I'll probably come live with some Big Brother live updates, first of the season. So keep on the lookout for that. Stay beautiful. Stay sexy.